Okay, in chapter 3, we are going to solve quadratic equations, which we've done before. So 3.0, we're going to review solving by factoring. There's three main types of factoring we've done. In all cases, we want it to equal 0, so we can use the zero product property. So for the first ones, this is x squared plus bx plus c. There's an x squared here. There's no coefficient other than 1. So this should be pretty easy for us to factor in our heads. If you do like the x, that's fine. Whichever method you use, as long as you have a good way to factor it, is fine. Since it's x squared, this must be x times x. I'm going to look at the 24. Think of what you times to get 24. Make sure it adds up to 10. So what am I thinking? It must be 4 and 6, huh? Not 8, 3. Yeah, it's got to be 4 and 6. So 4 times 6, for it to add up to negative 10, it must be minus. And then when I solve using the zero product property, x minus 4 equals 0, I add 4. X equals 4. I add 6, I get x equals 6. So my answers are x equals 4 and x equals 6. And if I plug them back in the original equation, they should equal to 0. Let's look at B. It also equals to 0, so I can skip straight to factoring. Since it's n to the second, I'm going to do n times n. Again, look at the negative 30. Think what you times to get negative 30. It's going to be a positive and negative. Since this middle term is a positive, the bigger number is going to take the positive. So let's see, what could we do? We could do 6 times negative 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. 10 times negative 3. 10 minus 3 is 7. There we go. So positive 10 minus 3. Zero product property. N equals negative 10. And n equals positive 3. And if you wanted to check, if you plug each of those numbers back in the original, you will equal to 0. Okay, next example is when we had ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So there's a coefficient on the x squared and there's no common factor. Because some of you do an x method, some do a box method, some do a grouping method. Whatever method you use is up to you. I'm going to do guess and check. This equals 0, which is why I can skip straight to the step. Since this is 3x squared, it's got to be 3x times x. Okay, now I'm going to check what I times to get 10. What am I thinking? It could be 5 times 2. Let's try 5 times 2. Okay, it's all going to be positive because everything's positive. I need to check to make sure it's correct, though, if I'm doing guess and check. This is 3x squared. That's good. Plus 6x plus 5x. 6x plus 5x is 11x. That's not right. Okay, let me try to switch them. And 5 and 2 make it 2 and 5. Let me see if this way works. 3x squared, good. 3x times 5, 15x plus 2x, that's 17x, and then 2 times 5 is 10. So this is the correct way. If you want to solve in your head, you can. Let's see, if I minus 2 and divide by 3, I get negative 2 over 3. If I minus 5 here, I get negative 5. Okay, let's try B. Okay, again, there's a coefficient on the n squared, so I'm going to use it. Okay, so 5n squared, I'm thinking 5n times n. Okay, the last number is negative 2. I'm just going to guess. Let's do 2 times negative 1. And let me see if it's right. 5n squared, good. Minus 5n plus 2n. Oh, that is negative 3n. So I got it right on the first guess. Who knew? Okay, if you do it differently, as long as you have these two factors, you're good. Then solve for n. So I'm going to minus 2, divide by 5. And on this one, I'm going to do plus 1, so I get positive 1. Okay, the third type I'm going to remind you of is common factors. Okay, this says x squared plus 4x plus there's no number at the end. There's no c value, which means it's going to be a common factor. So between x squared and 4x, I can take out the x. X times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. And I get my answers of x equals 0 and x equals negative 4. And it's quadratic, so I got 2 answers, which I was expecting. Let's try B. 6n squared plus 4n. Again, there's no c value, so it's got to be a common factor. I can for sure take out an n. Can I take out a number 2? 6 and 4 both divide by 2. I'm going to take out 2n. 2n times 3n. 2n times 2. 2n equals 0. If I divide by 2, I still get 0. And for my second answer, I'm going to minus 2 divide 3. So n equals 0 and n equals negative 2/3. Okay, now also if you had only taken out the n here, this would have been 6n plus 4. I would have gotten minus 4 over 6, and when I simplify it, I would have gotten the same answer. Okay, go ahead and try the practice problems. Unpause when you finish 1 and 2. They're mixed up, so you need to be careful about your factoring method to make sure you're getting the right answer. Okay, here are my answers for 1 and 2. Pause so you can check. We should have the same answers. You can have more steps than me, but you cannot have less steps than me. Okay, go ahead and check 3 through 6. Again, you could have more steps than me, but you should not have less steps than me. Okay, pause it till you're ready to move on. Okay, and then go ahead and check your answers for 7 through 10. Pause the video to give yourself a second.